Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 66 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 27. A good weekend to y'all coming up, a good Friday to y'all. Friday means that we had an eviction yesterday, and we lost Will. Yeah, we had the blockbuster competition. As soon as Keanu won that, came rather clear that Will was heading out the door. Don't think anyone was surprised by the last bit. Seemed Will seemed like an incredibly friendly, super nice guy. I look forward to meeting him at some point in the near future. And of course, I'm always cheering for the older guy in the house. But he never won a single competition, so he never really had any control over the house. And really, he didn't use his social game to drive a whole lot of decisions either. So he never really got his chance to shine, other than just showing he's an incredibly nice guy. And I hope Will had a fantastic experience being in that house. It is a wild experience. Certainly speaking from experience there. All right, so now we're down to only 7 house guests. And next week, we know there's going to be a double eviction. So next week, we're going to be down to 5. Oh, we're getting so close, guys. We're almost there. All right, so let's talk about the feeds themselves. Feeds came back. Fortunately, we didn't lose them like we did last week. Feeds came back after just a few hours, about 10 o'clock, 10:15 or so, Big Brother time. And first thing we see is Ashley and Morgan talking at the dining room table. Meanwhile, we've got Kelly and Lauren in the bathroom, with Kelly looking very distraught. At one point, we heard, I think it was Morgan or Ashley, one or the other, saying about him as far as the HOH. So immediately wondered, well, you don't have a whole lot of choices at this point in the game. There's only 2 guys left. Wondering who won the HOH itself. And soon we learned 2 things. First of all, we learned that no one's been eliminated while the feeds were down last week. No mayhem, no repeat of Rachel Riley or anything like that. No one new has been lost. And we do have a new HOH winner. And the new HOH for the week is Vince. Vince pulls it out. It's his 3rd HOH victory of the season. So Vince has won HOH, and we'll talk about that. What that means for Vince, because it's certainly not going to be an easy HOH for him. All right, it sounds like the HOH competition itself was some kind of standing in a booth answering true false questions uh, about things they had just seen. I didn't get the impression it's based on past events, although we don't really know, but some kind of true false type questions that were being asked. Apparently, Vince and Kelly had to go to a tiebreaker, maybe even 2 tiebreakers. I'm not sure, but they had to go to tiebreakers. We'd seen in the past Vince had said, oh, I'm ready for that. I know these minutes and seconds. He knows what kind of questions were asked much more than Kelly likely does, having not been a big fan of the show. Kelly just doesn't have the experience watching it. So I think Vince was much more prepared. It sounds like the answers, I don't remember what they said, 180, 290 or something. So I'm sure it's something along the lines of how many minutes did they last on the wall, or something along those lines. Uh, Vince wanted beat Kelly. So maybe that's one of the reasons Kelly's feeling a little distraught that she came so close. Probably feeling a little distraught that she's got to be thinking she could easily be going on the block with a Vince HOH for the week. And we'll talk about that. Now, it's not going to be easy for Vince, as I mentioned. We had heard Will, before he got evicted yesterday or the day before, saying, I don't know that Vince is going to want to win HOH because it could create issues with him and Morgan and Lauren, that Morgan's going to insist that he put Lauren up on the block. He's not going to want to do that. It really could create issues for Vince. So I don't even think he's going to try for it. I think at this stage in the game, you just can't afford not to try to win HOH, especially if it was Kelly that he was up at the very end with. He did not want Kelly to win this thing, because Kelly probably would put him on, almost certain, guaranteed, would have put Vince on the block. So he had no other choice but to win this HOH competition. It isn't going to be easy for Vince to keep all of his relationships in check. He's got his little feelers out everywhere, trying to keep them all feeling good about him. Gonna be tough to do this week now that he has the power. This might be the week that he finally has to declare some loyalties and actually stick to some of those loyalties by the way his actions, his noms, etc., take place. An amazing concept that you declare a loyalty and then you actually stick with it. I'm not sure these house guests are going to be used to that, but I think this could be the week where he's going to be drugged, kicking and screaming to do so, but someone's going to be upset with him. And he's just going to have to make some decisions and declare some loyalties. But based on what we saw overnight, he's not quite there yet. All right, this could be a dangerous week for Vince. He might burn some bridges. And then not only is he going to get some people mad at him this week, he can't compete in the HOH competition next week, which is the first part of the double eviction, which is a particularly dangerous HOH not to be able to compete in, because if you're vulnerable, you don't have a lot of time to argue your case. There's not going to be a lot of time for Vince to start crying between the first eviction and the second eviction with this double eviction. So for a lot of reasons, Vince could be a little at risk come next week. We shall see. All right, so we do learn that not only was an HOH competition, but Zingbot made an appearance. Zing! I loved when Zingbot came. It's a highlight. It's such an iconic thing to be part of. So Zingbot made an appearance. We don't know a lot about what was said, but we certainly know a lot about one of them. And that was having to do with Morgan. Morgan is a bit irritated or bothered, supposedly, publicly, a little bit bothered that Morgan Zing referenced her being Vince's girlfriend and touching or cuddling Vince a lot, something along those lines. Now, publicly, she said, I don't know why they would think that. Who would think that? Morgan, nah, we never thought any of that. She said, I don't know why people would think that. We're just friends and all of that. I can't believe they said that. She said, I thought they were going to make fun of me being a Division One athlete and not really winning much and all. But yeah, they went right to the me being his girlfriend. I just don't get that. I don't understand it at all. And so she's acting very perturbed about it. Secretly, I'm betting that she kind of likes the idea that people have been thinking that she and Vince are a tight item. I just feel like she may be. Certainly, I think Morgan would like Lauren to be hearing that particular zing when it comes right down to it. But anyway, so talking about that, as a result, now we've got Morgan talking to Ashley and saying, "Now I never even touch his skin. The only time I ever even touched his skin was when I was looking at his tattoos. I don't know why everyone says that. I just don't get it at all. So I just don't understand." Now we heard later, apparently, like kind of Vince and Morgan were trying to remember exactly what was said, and it's something along this. And here's my best Zingbot impression, I suppose. Morgan, what do you call it whenever you walk in the door and Vince lights up and is hugging and spooning? What do you call that, Morgan? You call that a girlfriend. See? Something like that. They couldn't remember the exact wording, but that was the basics of it. So yes, Zingbot certainly pointed out that everything that we've all been noticing as well, and they're just not liking it at all. Now, in addition to that, we heard a few other zings. Vince's zing was something about being a crybaby. Yeah, that's probably pretty spot on. Lauren's zing was about being boring. Yeah, okay, kind of spot on with that as well. We heard later Ava said something about hers was about her style that she had. I guess Zingbot doesn't like the daisy hats and things like that. So yeah, Ava got slammed for her style. We don't know yet about Kelly or Ashley or Keanu. I just feel like I could probably come up with the zings that were used pretty much all on my own. But yeah, we'll hear about those a little bit later. All right, meanwhile, we've got Ava complaining to the cameras. I think she and Kelly were talking a little bit. Ava eventually is complaining to the camera. She's saying, yeah, look at this. In a span of just a few hours, I lost my best friend in the house. I got zinged for my style, and I'm going to be on the block as well. Joy, joy, joy. Yeah, some days are better than others, Ava. Hey, where the zing with pride. You made it. We're all there for it. At least based on everything I've heard so far, hopefully Zingbot didn't have any of these body shaming zings that they've used in the past. Those always irritate me. I haven't heard any yet. I'm hoping that stays the case. So anyway, yeah, she's thinking this isn't the best night for old Ava Pearl going on right now. All right, we've got Kelly talking to Ava a little bit about this. She's saying, I hope Vince puts up his girlfriend this week. And Kelly's like, or Ava's like, oh God, my God, you use the word, you use the word. Kelly said, I was thinking about use the word, so we should be able to use it as well. It's going to be a sensitive topic for the next few days. And we could see it already throughout the evening. Morgan and Vince trying to stay a little more distance from each other. Yeah, you didn't see the cuddling going on like you see other nights. So yeah, everyone's paying attention to it now. But Ava and Kelly are laughing about the use of the word girlfriend, laughing about that. Kelly is telling Ava, she said, well, at least Lauren is safe this week. That Lauren and Kelly and Ava, a dynamic trio, tight trio. And so they're saying, well, at least Lauren will be safe. You and me, not so much, but Lauren will be safe at this point. They are assuming that both of them are going to go up on the block and just wondering who else will go up with them. All right. Meanwhile, we've got Morgan talking to Ashley, talking about how bad it would be, how bad it could be if Lauren never touches the block this season. And Morgan saying, Vince should know how absolutely important it is to put her up this week. That we can't just let her keep staying off the block. It's going to be horrible if that happens. Vince needs to know this, needs to be aware of it. And Morgan's certainly going to let Vince know about that throughout the evening. Morgan is certain that Lauren would use a veto on Kelly if she won veto and wasn't on the block itself. So not only does Morgan want to see Lauren go up, just to see her go up, just so that her friend, her friend, just so her friend is forced to declare a little bit his allegiance to Morgan over Lauren. But also she wants to see Lauren up so that Lauren can't use a veto and pull down Kelly off the block as well. So all kinds of reasons for Morgan wanting to see Lauren up on the block. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince having the first of many conversations that took place last night. Vince is talking about putting up not Lauren. Vince is talking about putting up Keanu and Ava and Kelly. And he's saying, look, here's the deal. If I put up Keanu alongside Ava and Kelly, then if Keanu wins the veto, he'll pull himself off. It means he can't use it on Kelly because otherwise, even though they've been fighting a little bit, that Keanu will use the veto on Kelly to save her. So we've got to have Keanu on the block. So we can't put all three girls up. We can put Ava and Kelly, but we need to put Keanu up as the third choice just because it's better for our game and all of that. Morgan is arguing that Keanu is upset with Kelly. She's saying he's not going to use it on Kelly. He's saying he just soon go after Kelly as much as Lauren. So, I don't think there's any chance in the world that Keanu would use that veto. If he wins it, that he's going to use it to change anything up at all. She's saying it's much more important, rather than worrying about that, it's much more important that we go ahead and get Lauren up on the block as well. Yeah, Vince not buying that so much. Morgan is getting upset that Vince won't put Lauren up. It's becoming pretty obvious. She's suggesting that Lauren could win the veto and then use it on Ava or Kelly. So another reason why Lauren really needs to be on the block. But Vince is arguing that he needs, because he realizes that next week he's vulnerable, he can't compete for HOH. He's saying, I really need your vote and Lauren's vote next week to protect me when it's down to only two people. They can make the difference. He said, I need both of y'all's vote. If I put her up on the block, I'm not going to have her vote. And Morgan's arguing, I said, you will have her vote. She has nowhere else to go. You will have her vote. But Vince said, nah, I won't have her vote. I can't do that, or I won't have her vote. Why should I make her mad when she's not even a target for any of us right now? He's saying that Lauren never touching the block. He's saying that doesn't mean that she'll win. And Morgan's thinking otherwise, as most are. It doesn't guarantee a win, but if you can go through a season, especially where you're putting up 3 nominees every week, and you never go on the block, pretty darn good. Either that means you're playing a heck of a strategic game, or it means that you're considered absolutely zero threat whatsoever. And Lauren has won a few competitions, so I'm not sure you can say that about her at this point in time. But anyway, so Vince is not wanting to put Lauren up. Morgan is throwing out ideas and reasons why that could happen. So he's saying, I need both those votes right now. Morgan is saying, look, if Lauren sticks around, if she wins HOH next week, and there's a good chance she will, she's putting me up. She's putting me up on the block. And Vince is kind of poo-pooing and saying, I don't know that she would. I really don't think. I think she's got bigger targets in the house, Morgan. There's not that many people in the house. I think she would go up as well. Throughout all these conversations, I do feel like Morgan is a lot more the voice of reason. Vince is very much playing the defensive, trying to come up with reasons not to put Lauren up and not always listening to the logic. Morgan, she's got her own personal reasons for wanting Lauren up, but I do think from a gameplay standpoint, she's a little more spot on than Vince is throughout these conversations. So anyway, she's saying, if she stays, if she wins HOH, I'm going up on the block. Vince is saying, Look, Morgan, it doesn't matter. Even if she did win HOH, even if she did put you on the block, it doesn't matter because we've got the votes to protect you. Between Ashley and I, we got the votes. You aren't going anywhere. That never makes you feel that much better anyway. But he's saying you don't have to worry about it. Even if she puts you up, we'd save you. You'd be fine, Morgan. Vince is telling her not to be mad at him. He's saying, look, we made final six. Yeah, you're not going up. I'm HOH. We've made final six in this house. So let's just enjoy it right now and try to avoid this stuff until a little bit later. So he's mentioning that. Vince is emphasizing that he doesn't want to put Lauren up a few times. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And so he's making it clear which direction he wants to go with this. Vince is talking as well about Ashley being the renom instead of Lauren. Then all right, well, we've got Keanu and Ava and Kelly, but yeah, if someone pulls himself, if Keanu pulls himself off the block, I would put up Ashley. I wouldn't put up Lauren. I'd put up Ashley. That's probably more important. Morgan is pointing out that hey, if you put up Ashley and she's up against Ava or Kelly in the final vote, she's going home. Ashley's going home and not Ava or Kelly. So you're ruining your chances of getting one of those ladies out that we talked about. She said, you know who wouldn't go home against Ava or Kelly? And that would be Lauren. It would be Ava or Kelly instead. So why wouldn't you do that, Vince? We know why he wouldn't want to do it because Lauren and he are number ones with each other. And then Ashley and Rachel, she's pointing out as well. She's saying, look, if you do that, if you made Ashley a renom, she goes home. Now you've got Ashley mad at you when it comes to a jury vote. You've got Rachel Riley mad at you for sending home her bestie. You're losing a lot of jury votes if you do that. Why in the world would you do that, Vince? And he's continuing to come up with reasons why he does not want to put Lauren up. All right. Apparently the have-not room is closing down. We saw Keanu moving all of his stuff out of there. I think Kelly at one point in time says something about, yeah, they're cutting it back. And someone says, yeah, I think it may be Ava or something saying, yeah, as we get smaller, they start shutting off rooms and all that. We never lost our have-not room. We still had it up there. Tommy Bracco used to stay up there. It was the coldest, coolest room in the house. I actually felt pretty comfortable temperature-wise, but they're losing their have-not room. Is it because they want everyone forced to spend more time with each other, interacting, which maybe doesn't happen if you have too many rooms available? Possibly. Could it also be because there's some kind of something getting ready to happen with the month of mayhem, and that room is going to be used for something other than sleeping? I think that's more likely. What it is, I don't know. Pandora's box. I don't know. What if Rachel Riley? I was gonna say, what if Rachel Riley isn't in the game, but you have to go in the room and just listen to her for 24 hours or something? We had that with Jesse Spectacular or something. That would be funny, but that's not going to happen because they don't want Rachel to. I mean, she's on the jury. You don't want necessarily information being spilled and all that. But anyway, who knows? But the have not room is shutting down. We've learned. All right, Vince finally got his room. Not too late. Vince got his room revealed. Letter from his mom, pictures of his family as well, but nothing from his girlfriend. And I'm not talking about you, Morgan. I'm talking about his real world girlfriend, Kelsey, I think is her name. Yeah, nothing from her. Which who knows? She may not. Lots of these things have to be generated early, and it could be, especially more. Vince is saying that they talked about him flirting, and she gave them permission and all that. And if that's the case, maybe they intentionally did not include Kelsey just in case he was flirting or something else. Who knows? But anyway, so letters from his mom and pictures of his family, pictures of him when he was little, things like that. All right, eventually Ava's the first one out the door. Eventually everyone else leaves, except for Keanu. Keanu wants to have a little discussion with Vince. Keanu is all for Vince's plan to put up Kelly. Says, yeah, all right, got you so far. Yeah, absolutely. Kelly goes up. Yeah, Vince, yeah, that's what I want to hear. But also pushing for Lauren and Ava, and that's where he and Vince hit the disconnect. Vince is asking, he's saying, look, Morgan keeps saying that Lauren could win this thing if she never touches the block. Yeah, what do you think, Keanu? Could she really win just because she didn't ever go on the block? And Keanu's response, I think, was something along the lines of, yes, bro. Yeah, absolutely, bro. He's saying that, yeah, she absolutely could win. She's got a chance to win, especially if she doesn't go on the block. She's got a chance to win against anyone except for Keanu. He says, yeah, that's crazy to think she could beat me, but anyone else, absolutely, sure, especially if she hadn't touched the block. Keanu is saying that Vince has to put up Lauren next to Ava and Kelly this week. He's saying, but I know, even as I say that, Vince, I know that she's going to eventually come up here. She's going to bat her eyes. She's going to use her Southern charm on you. She's going to start saying how she kept you safe and therefore you owe her. She's going to do all those things and you're going to give in, Vince, just like you always do. So he says, you've got to put her up, but also figure that you probably won't at the end of the day. He's telling Vince at one point, in fact, he says, look, you're a lock for second place. He said, you should be able to get to the end. He said, but basically, you're not winning. In other words, yeah, you can make it to the end, but you're not going to win. You're going to be a lock for second place because every time a decision comes to you, you whiff. Yeah, just absolutely whiff. You've been whining about all the things. Every time we talk to you, oh, I screwed up. Oh, this was horrible. Oh, I didn't know. And he says, you're going to do it yet again. It's going to be yet another whiff, and it's going to guarantee you that you don't win the game. Second place, yeah, you may have that locked in. You aren't winning. You aren't winning if you don't make the hard decisions at some point, Vince. So he's kind of laying down a lot of Vince, and I'm not sure that I disagree with him. All right, Vince is talking about it, arguing with it, not committing to put Lauren up. As much as Keanu wants to hear those golden words, he's not saying he's going to put Lauren up. Vince is saying eventually, said, look, I'll talk to Lauren. If she says that she'll use the veto if she wins it and pull down one of the ladies, if that happens, then yes, I'll put her up. Otherwise, I don't see the need for it. Keanu very frustrated that he's just not getting across to Vince at this point in time. I think Vince is hearing Keanu and Morgan loud and clear. It's just he has different objectives. He's rejecting. It's not that he's not hearing. He's just rejecting their arguments in light or in favor of his own positions, opinions, and objectives. All right, we've got Morgan telling Ashley that that hearing the zing about her being Vince's boyfriend kind of took her out of the game for a little bit, and she said it just seemed kind of low. No, I've heard zings that are very low end, low class to some degree and all. I'm not sure this one is really it, Morgan. You kind of reap what you sow, and it's not the end of the world. It's what a lot of people are talking about. So yeah, she's complaining, saying that was kind of low end for him to do it. And I'm okay with this one. Ashley is saying that yeah, she's saying, yeah, Kelsey's probably back laughing about it somewhere. I who knows? Maybe she is. Maybe she'll have a fine old laugh with it, but maybe not. All right, Lauren's talking to Vince. Wants to try to see what her temperature. He knows Morgan's upset with him. Let's see how Lauren's doing with Vince. So Lauren's talking to Vince. Vince is again starting the conversation off. They exchange. Oh, you're my number one. Yeah, you're my number one as well. Vince is talking about Keanu being pushing for Lauren to be the nomination. Lauren, not really surprised about that. Lauren is still bothered, though, that Keanu is still calling Lauren's HOH a failure because Will went home, and who cares? Will went home. No one had a beef with Will anyway. So, yeah, she's continued to not be happy that Keanu's downplaying what she did in her HOH. She's suggesting that Vince's noms should be. This is what Lauren's thinking. That hey, Vince, why don't you put up Ava and Kelly and Ashley? Why not? Now, she does not know about Ashley and the Judges Alliance and all that. So, yeah, I understand why she maybe would push to get Ashley up as opposed to certainly herself at this point in time. But she's saying, yeah, Ava, Kelly, and Ashley would be probably what you ought to consider, Vince. She's saying, then if that way, if I win veto, I'll pull down Ava at that point in time. And then you can put up Keanu, Vince. And so now you'll have Keanu and Ashley and Kelly, and we can make it happen. We can send Keanu out the door at that point in time. Kelly can't vote to save him. We'll send him out the door. So Lauren's got a plan on how that will how it should work this week. And fortunately for her, it doesn't include Lauren going on the block. But Vince is suggesting that that Lauren maybe could use the veto on Ashley instead. Because he's saying, I don't want Ava going home, or I don't want Ava going to the end. I don't know if I could beat her. So if we did something like that, if you wanted to veto, pull down Ashley instead and let's send Ava out the door. Well, Lauren and Ava and Kelly are close. I don't think Lauren wants to do that as well. But there's a lot of conversations to be had about whether she'll even have the opportunity to use the veto on someone else that have to take place first. All right, Vince is talking to Lauren some more. He's saying, look, I wouldn't want you to use the veto on anyone else. It doesn't help my game if you do it. I'm telling you, I don't if you play in and you win veto, I don't want you using it on anyone else. He's saying, but I realize at the same time, asking you to do that, it could screw up your game if you don't use it on people that think you're close to them. So I understand that's the position that you're getting put in of me not wanting you to do it, but you may be thinking you have to. He says the result, I know it's not really something that you typically want to do, but you could throw the veto comp. You could do that so that you don't win the veto, and then you don't have to make those hard decisions. Vince is upset with Keanu and getting confirmation from Lauren that Keanu apparently had said last day or two at some point. I didn't catch this statement, but apparently at one point Vince was hugging Morgan and Keanu said, I thought we were playing Big Brother, not Cheating Island. It's pretty brutal, isn't it? So apparently he said that, and Vince is getting confirmation from Lauren that, yeah, he said it. And so I'm not real happy to hear that. This is part of Vince starting to build up an argument against Keanu to justify him putting up Keanu, or at least renomming Keanu as opposed to Lauren, maybe. All right, Vince is laughing at one point because he says, Lauren, maybe I just do what everyone else in this house wants. I'll just put you up. That way you don't have to worry about whether you use veto or anything else. It takes care of a lot of issues. Maybe I'll just put you up. Now, he's not serious when he says it, but he does mention it. So in here, I think it could be a little more valid than he's making it sound like. So I'll just do it just so everyone doesn't have to worry, you included. Lauren's saying, yeah, no, Vince, not going to happen. Vince is saying, yeah, I get it. He says, I actually, when it comes down to it, Lauren, he said, I would rather trust you not to use a veto than to risk your game. Because Lauren at one point tells Vince, says, look, I would like to use a veto. I'm not going to argue with you on it. But if you're telling me the only way that I'm not going to go on the block as a nomination is if I don't use a veto, then I won't use a veto. I mean, it's that simple. If it's either go on the block or don't go on the block, but I can't use the veto, well, then I'll go with the second option. So she's saying that, and he says, yeah, I'm going to have to trust you when you say you aren't going to use the veto because I don't want to risk your game. I'm not going to risk your game. Lauren is pushing that Ashley is actually the one that needs to go over Ava or Kelly, that she's much more dangerous in the game right now. But Vince is saying that Ava or Kelly has to go. Again, he does not want Ava sticking around his house. Vince is continuing to push, and because of the Judges Alliance and all that. Vince is also continuing to push Lauren to promise not to use a veto. Just tell me you're not going to use a veto and everything gets easier. She won't do that. She said, I'm not sure. Yeah, if that's what it takes, but I've got to think on it, and never gets a 100% answer from Lauren on that question. All right, Vince is asking Lauren as well who she would want to evict in a perfect world. If you had the power, if you're me, Lauren, if you can pick anyone, who are you sending out the door? She says, well, Keanu. Certainly I would want Keanu out, or Morgan, maybe. Vince said, no, stop. Don't be saying that. Just stay with Keanu. That's fine. So, yeah, of course she wants Morgan out, and everyone recognizes it except for Vince. All right, Lauren is saying that Morgan and Keanu are bigger targets for Ava than Vince is. And so, in other words, I keep hearing you, Vince, saying you want Ava out, but Ava's not a big deal. Ava's fine with you. Ava wants Morgan and Keanu out. So why go targeting Ava at this point in time? She's saying that Kelly also feels good with Vince. Yeah, Kelly doesn't want to come after you. Well, that's just not true. And I'm not sure that Vince believes it. I'm not sure Lauren thinks that Vince believes it. But she's saying, yeah, neither Kelly or Ava would be coming after you, Vince. I got bigger targets in the house. So why would you go after them? All right, we've got Ava talking to Lauren a little bit later. Ava's telling Lauren that she knows she's going on the block. There's just no doubt. And she's saying that my worst fear, she says, if I'm sitting next to Ashley on Thursday and it's a tie, well, Vince breaks the tie. And I know Vince is going to save Ashley over myself. So if it comes down to a tie, I'm gone if I'm on the block next to Ashley. So that's kind of one of my fears. All right, we've got Morgan and Ashley and Vince talking a little bit. Ashley's come up. She's visiting with the two of them. Ashley is saying, look, if Kelly goes home this week, if we could get Kelly out the door, Lauren has no path to the end. Yes, she's still in the house, but she doesn't have people she can rely on for votes or anything else. She's going to be kind of floundering. We take out not just Kelly, but we probably also take out Lauren's strength if we can get Kelly out the door. So Kelly very much does not like Ashley and has wanted her out. Well, it goes both ways because Ashley very much wanting Kelly out as well. Morgan is saying that just because trying to get Vince on board, she's saying, look, just because Lauren's on the block doesn't mean that she goes home. There's a lot of people who've gone on the block who haven't gone home, Vince. So that doesn't mean anything just because she goes up there. And Morgan's saying, look, I won't vote out Lauren if she's on the block because I want Keanu gone, and Lauren is probably the only other person in this house that wants Keanu gone more than I do. So why would I vote her out? I'll keep her in the house. She can then go after Keanu. So you don't have to worry about my vote against Lauren. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm buying that, Morgan, but that's what she's telling Vince. All right, Vince and Morgan are again arguing about the threat of Lauren winning the game if she doesn't touch the block throughout the whole season. Vince is saying, I don't think it's that impressive just to stay off the block. That doesn't mean so much. It's just not a big deal. Morgan's saying it's always a big deal that you make it through a whole season without touching the block. Even more so when you have 3 nominations per week. Even more so when you have 3 nominations per week beyond the jury phase. Remember last season, Chelsea won. I never touched the block. And that stopped at jury where they went from 3 to 2. And it was certainly a big part of her game, her strategy, her speech, a perfect game. She's saying, yes, it is important. It is a big deal if Lauren has a perfect game. Vince isn't buying it. All right. Morgan's also pointing that out that Lauren's supposedly saying, yeah, she wouldn't use it on one of the girls. And I wouldn't do that. If it means I'm not going to go on the block, then of course, Vince, I won't do it. She's saying, look, as soon as Lauren finished talking to you, she immediately went to talk to Ava. She didn't stop, pass go, and get a drink. No, she went straight to Ava to tell her everything. Those two are like this. Of course, she's going to use the veto. At one point, she says it would not make sense game-wise for her not to use a veto. As much as I don't want her to, it makes 0 sense. So, of course, she's going to use a veto, Vince, if she wins this thing. She's saying that no matter what Lauren says, she's going to use a veto on Ava or Kelly if she wins it. Vince is saying, well, Lauren never lied to me. And Morgan says, oh, yeah, she has all the time. And she lists out a few things. Put me on the block. A few things here. But yeah, she's saying, yeah, she will lie to you. She will use a veto on one of these 2 ladies. Vince is still pushing that Ava needs to go, that's truly the threat in the house. But Morgan is arguing that Ava can't win a competition. She's saying Vince says if she gets to the final 2 seats, she's winning. Who's not going to vote for Ava? And Morgan's saying she has to make it there first. And she won't make it there because she can't win competitions. And she's saying, you know who would help Ava survive and get to the end? And that would be, I don't know, Kelly or Lauren, who could win competitions and protect Ava. Do you know who makes it very unlikely for Ava to make it to the final 2? Oh, that would be if Kelly and Lauren aren't in the house and winning competitions to protect Ava. So she's saying those 2 actually are protecting her. If you're really worried about Ava, you need to get those 2 ladies out of the house. That's the way to keep her from getting to a final 2 seat, Vince. All right, Vince is saying that the only way that Lauren would be okay going on the block would be if she knows that she has the votes to stay. He's saying he doesn't really care. At one point, Morgan says, how far do you want to go with Lauren in this? Yeah, I understand y'all have worked together. And Vince said she says, what kind of deals did you have? What kind of deals did you have? He said, all we've said is we wouldn't target each other. And she said, okay, so like up to final 2 then. Up to final 2, you aren't going to target each other. So obviously you're fine with her getting the final 2 with you. And he says, look, I don't care how far Lauren goes because I know I can beat her in a jury vote. And Morgan jumps on that and says, oh, a jury vote. You're talking about beating her in jury vote. Obviously, you're okay taking her as the final 2. You're fine sitting in a chair with her. You're thinking you can beat her in a final 2. Okay, well, that's great to hear, Vince. Thank you for telling me that, for confirming that. Not going well with these 2 at all. Not only did they get a little bit zinged and burned on the whole girlfriend and all that stuff, but also just from gameplay. Just not a good evening for them. All right, we got Vince talking to Lauren, telling Lauren that Morgan and Ashley want Kelly gone over Ava. That's kind of where the rest of the house is leaning. They want Kelly gone. He's telling Lauren, said, look, they only want you on the block so you won't use the veto on Ava or Kelly. They don't really want you gone. They're not wanting you up there so they can send you out the door, Lauren. They're just wanting you on the block so that you can't use the veto on the person who they do want gone, who is Kelly, most likely. If not, then maybe Ava. And he's saying He's saying if you go on the block, if you were to agree to do that, they're going to go after one of those two. Someone can use a veto on you, or we can easily save you in a vote come Thursday night. He says there is not a single scenario where you don't have the votes to stay over whoever you're up against. So it's zero risk to you, Lauren, if you wanted to go ahead and let me put you on the block. How do you think that goes over? Yeah, like a lead balloon. Lauren's not really into that. Lauren is continuing to saying, I don't want to be a nominee. You can talk about all this, Vince. I don't want to be a nominee. Vince is talking about shifting tactics a little bit. He said, "Hey, we need to work together. We need to get past some of this stuff." He said, "Really, Lauren, what about you and me and Ashley and Morgan? If us four were working together, we would be a solid four to the very end. We could dominate this house. We could get to the final four, and then whatever happens, happens. But of course, we're still number ones. But other than that, everything it would whatever happens, happens. But that group of four would be fantastic. Because the only thing with it, though, Lauren, is it means you have to give up Kelly. It'd be with Ashley and myself and Morgan instead. Kelly, there's no room. But if you're willing to do that, we could dominate the rest of this season. Lauren is saying, I guess I could talk to Morgan and Ashley about that, see what they think. I'm not saying no, but I'm not necessarily saying yes just yet either. All right, we've got a lot. You think Lauren and Morgan could work together in an alliance with Vince? That seems like trouble written all over. All right, finally, we've got a long talk between Morgan and Vince. As of 5:30, 6 o'clock, Big Brother time, they're still talking. I think right about that time was when they were shutting it down, it seemed like. But absolutely nothing new going on in these arguments that wasn't talked about before. Not really. Complaining about Lauren and her not being on the block and winning, if that's the case. And Vince, it's not that big a deal. Morgan, it's a big deal. So talking about that a lot more. Morgan is talking about saying, well, you're number two once you're number one out of the house. Uh, it probably could go the other way. His number one may want his number two out of the house and vice versa. But the question is, who's the true number one? Who's the true number two? I'm getting the feeling when it comes right down to it that Vince is feeling more loyal to Lauren than he is to Morgan right now. And I'm waiting for the shoe to drop at some point in the next day or two where Vince is going to say something along the lines of, look, Morgan, I wanted to go to the very end with you, but obviously you don't trust me. You don't trust my decision making. If you can't trust me, then it makes me feel like maybe I can't work with you as much as I wanted. I just think Vince is going to try to turn this around and blame Morgan for somehow not being faithful enough to him. And he's going to use that as a reason to slowly push away at some point. We'll see, but I just see that happening. But anyway, so a lot of complaining about Lauren not being on the block, about one of Vince's ladies wanting the other one out the door. They're talking about being zinged, about being a girlfriend, and how they don't ever do that. There's always blankets between them. She said, I never straddle you. We'll just leave that. I think we viewers have seen plenty to make that a valid zing to take place. But they're talking about how crazy it is that anyone would ever think that. It's just silly. They're just picking at straws, trying to figure out something that they could zing her on, and that's all they could come up with. So a lot of that. I do notice they aren't planning to share a bed together. Morgan is saying, I'll use this day bed. It's called a day bed, so therefore production really can't have an issue if I just sleep way over there, not anywhere close to you, because we don't want people thinking the wrong thing. So they're definitely still a little bit shaken up by this. Vince is going hard at one point against Keanu, just as a way to justify putting Keanu on the block. He's rehashing this comment that Keanu said about Cheater Island and just a lot of different little things. But I don't owe him anything. How dare he? And he's got to be gone. He's not good for our game. We've got to get him gone. It's all strategy to try to justify to Morgan why Keanu should be taking the place on the block and not Lauren at some point this week. Also, he's saying that he has learned that he's also saying he's learned that Keanu and Kelly have a very strong final two with each other. He says if they've got a final two like that, no matter how much he says they don't like each other and all that, they've got a final two, which means Keanu will use the veto on Kelly if he isn't on the block. So in other words, you're going on, Morgan, about Lauren would use a veto on one of these two ladies if she's not on the block. Well, Keanu would do the same thing, and Keanu is much more dangerous to us. So why shouldn't Keanu be up on the block? And of course, if he's on the block, there's just not enough room for Lauren. God, it just didn't work out, Morgan. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's just what we got to do. So talking about that, Vince eventually says, all right, what can I do? What can I do, Morgan? He says, can we have a meeting? Maybe you and Lauren and Ashley and myself, we'll all meet. Y'all can convince Lauren why it's okay for her to go on the block. Morgan saying, yeah, first of all, no. And second of all, no. She's saying you can't let Lauren know that we're working with Ashley. First of all, that's not a good thing. And he says, well, then maybe just you and me meet and you convince Lauren why it's such a good thing. And she's saying, no, why should I have to convince her? And she says, and secondly, if I'm Lauren, it makes sense not to go on the block. Why would I argue from her position that she shouldn't go on the block? She said, no, I don't know what I could possibly tell her. I'm telling you from our gameplay standpoint, it's not a great idea. And you don't need me to try to convince her. Just do what you will, Vince. Eventually that's the end of it. She's just frustrated. She said, you know what, Vince, just do whatever. Just do what you want to do. It's pretty obvious. Do what you want to do. Don't worry about me. And Vince goes, no, I want to know what you want to do. I want to know. Well, he knows what she wants him to do. She knows what he wants to do. It's just a matter of who wins out on the end. And with that, I think finally they're talking about trying to get her on the block. Finally, at one point, he gets up, supposedly get ready for bed. He's just hanging out, hanging out in the bathroom, hoping that I don't know, she leaves, she falls asleep, she magically solves everything for him, so he doesn't have to worry about. I don't know. He's diddling around, waiting around, hanging around the bathroom. Eventually, has to go back in, and at that point, I've got to shut it down to tape this. But I think at that point, they're about ready to shut it down. Nothing resolved, nothing at all. They're gonna. We'll see. We'll see what nominations are today. I don't think they're convincing Vince, and I think that's a mistake for Vince. I think he's burning bridges that are going to be difficult to recover from. But I fully expect today that we're going to have definitely Ava and Kelly going up on the block, and probably Keanu as the third choice. And Vince is going to spin it 100 different ways why it makes best sense, not just for his game, but for Morgan's and Ashley's and everyone else's. He just doesn't want to put up his ally, his self-proclaimed number one. And we'll see how much Morgan puts up this week. It's going to be tough watching these three interact with each other. And there you have it, guys. So we'll see what happens with the nomination today. Y'all have a fantastic Friday. I'll be back tomorrow morning, talk about the nominations. We'll see if any other mayhem has started up, and we'll talk about the veto competition as well. Until then, guys, have a great one. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.